Well, Ian, not a result we'd have liked, but if you don't mind, if we can turn to the game in a little while and start off by dealing with a few absences.
Yep.
Possibly the most notable of which was Dyer himself, who was sat up in the stand.
Yeah, so I think obviously wasn't something we wanted to talk about too much before the game, because A, we probably didn't want to distract the players from anything, not that it would be a massive distraction, and B, probably didn't want to give the opposition any sort of advantage. But yeah, he's serving a touchline ban for an incident in a previous league game. Quite baffling, having been kind of close to him on the game it happened, and a bit of a head scratcher for all of us really when it came through. So yep, he's currently serving that touchline ban. So obviously part of that meant he wasn't actually allowed in the technical area today.
And did that affect anything? Was he able to communicate with you at all?
Yeah, so we obviously had some different forms of communication. I mean, in terms of the pre-match and the half-time and everything else, it kind of stayed the same. He wasn't banned from being in the stadium and the changing room and everything else. So that kind of stayed the same. And obviously there was little bits and bobs in terms of probably more so the second half in terms of substitutions and stuff as well. But I'd like to think it didn't massively affect the boys in terms of what they did. Although obviously the second half, I think it probably would have been good for him, good for us if he was there. But yeah, I mean, it's something we can't do anything about. Like I said, it's quite a baffling decision based on the fact that I was quite close to him on the given game, and it's something we've just got to deal with. We can't do anything about it.
Okay. Another absence, of course, was Harvey Bradbury today, which was kept quiet for obvious reasons as well in terms of letting the opposition know. What's the problem with Harvey?
Well, Harvey sustained an injury during training with Oxford during the week, which we found about. Obviously, well, there's never a good time to hear about it, but kind of towards the back part of the week, which obviously wasn't ideal. Based on probably his form in the last couple of games, he's been an important part of the team. So that was obviously a bit of a blow. Not 100% sure how serious or in terms of the timeline, how long it's going to be. So probably shouldn't speculate on that. But obviously somewhat of a blow for the team and the squad for today's game. And
yet another absentee was Armani for a similar reason, I believe.
Yeah, I mean Armani probably played with a knock in the cup game last week. He was struggling going into that game, and he got through it, and obviously played 90 minutes, scored a goal. And again, Oxford have ruled him unfit for this week's game. Which is obviously another blow. The two boys have obviously been starting players in the last couple of weeks, and certainly both added things to the team and to the squad. So it's always disappointing when you're without players of that calibre, I guess.
Of course. And the opposite of an absence, a new presence. You brought in Craig Ross as a goalkeeper, and he started straight away. What's the thinking behind that? We are looking to strengthen in every area we can. We're very ambitious as a management team, which comes from the manager. We want to maximise the squad and the team. And there was an opportunity. Craig came available. Obviously, highly experienced goalkeeper. Quality goalkeeper, and he was. We found out he was available. So it was a case of obviously getting him in and having a look at him in training and assessing whether we thought he could add to what we've got already. And we felt that was the case. So obviously signed and made his debut today. Sure. Okay, let's turn to the game then. 2-0 at half-time, 2-2 at 90 minutes. Many of us would probably have taken a draw before the game, but when you're 2-0 up at half-time, you're hoping to win. So, game of two halves, is that fair?
In terms of the scoring, yes. In terms of the performance, possibly. We're probably looking at it thinking towards the end we're fortunate to come away with a point. I think that's fair. I think we've been quite honest with the players in the changing room after the game and said that the standard and the level that we were at second half won't be accepted and can't be accepted. We got ourselves into a good position. I think we worked it and worked hard for it, and I thought we probably, deserved it. Obviously, a bit of a fortunate goal with Max's free kick, taking the deflection, but, good strike from Heidi to get ourselves 2-0 up.
looked a bit shaky 5 minutes before half time, and I think they've missed a really good chance at the back post from across from the left, and that was a bit of a warning really. We came into half time and the boys were, they knew that was a big warning, and we had to kind of make sure we focused. And listen, if we're being quite honest, we have not shown up in the second half today. As much as, yes, it's a big crowd, they've put some pressure on, and of course the onus is on them to come out and get at us and maybe overcommit players, which we've then got to maybe drop a bit deeper to cover. The standards overall from 1 to 11 wasn't acceptable, and I think the players have to accept that, and one or two have spoken up in the change room as well, and I think they know that. And yeah, I think towards the end, it kind of had a sense of inevitability about it. Once they scored the first one, you kind of felt the second one wasn't far away, which probably says a lot about the way we played second half. And if I'm honest, like I said, I think we probably should feel quite fortunate. We're going to have a 4-hour bus journey home with a point.
Yeah. When you see the opposition make 2 substitutions in the first half, that should give you a lot of encouragement, shouldn't it? And did it?
Well, I think it was probably a statement. I think it was probably a statement from their manager, wasn't it, to the crowd, to his team, maybe a little bit to us, to show that probably they weren't at the level they wanted to be at, and they made those changes to have a positive impact on the game. But that can't affect the way we're thinking. We had a couple of warnings just before half time at 2-0 where we got sloppy and we should have been punished. We should have been punished with a couple of good chances, and we didn't heed those warnings second half. Like I said, we came out, we were sloppy in possession. We didn't string passes together. We didn't look like we wanted to get the ball down and play. Sometimes under no pressure. At the same time, we looked like we didn't really want to have a fight and roll up our sleeves and go toe to toe with them in both boxes. And in the end, I think that the wave of pressure became so much that, like I said, that the result and the goals were almost slightly inevitable. And I think one or two of our boys have come in and said we're lucky we haven't lost that game 4 or 5-2, and which is probably fair. I think based on the run of the chances they've had second half. But that's the most disappointing thing. I think if you can forgo giving up a 2-goal lead if your performance level is at a standard which you can accept. But I think we've come here, we've got ourselves into a great position away from home in a game that we at 2-0 up should be winning. And I think we've handed the game to them by what we've given in terms of performance in 45 minutes in the second half, which is, like I said, which is really difficult to take.
Yeah. My personal observation would be that we simply played far too deep second half. We had 2 wide men who were back with the fullbacks and hardly ever got forward at all in the second half.
I think it becomes difficult because at 2-0 down, you've almost got nothing to lose it from their perspective. So, they committed both of their kind of wing backs or full backs up the pitch. And of course, you can't leave them unmarked. So, our players have to drop 5 yards deeper to cover them. I think the most disappointing aspect, probably why we ended up really deep, was because when we did win possession in some good areas at times with some time on the ball, we didn't try and find a pass to get ourselves out of it. We didn't give good quality into the front, into Heidi or into Dwayne when he came on. And our decision making on the ball was really poor. And if you're giving the ball back quickly, if you're on the edge of your own box, then obviously you're not going to be able to go anywhere. And you, of course, get deeper and deeper. So there's 2 or 3 things we weren't happy with second half. I think that was one aspect of it. But, I think overall the performance level across the board, like I said, from 1 to 11, I don't think any player can come in there and question that they underperformed for 45 minutes there, which is why it's very difficult to come away with 3 points at a place like that. If that's the case, half the game you're not at your level, makes it very difficult for you. So we're really disappointed to have to say that. I don't often kind of get on the players. I like to see the positives, and there's always things you can take out of it, and there will be, I'm sure, in the cold light of day looking at this game. But right now it just seems really disappointing of the position we're in to be going home just with a point. After all that is quite difficult to take.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say there's draws that feel like wins, there's draws that feel like draws, and there's draws that feel like losses. Yeah. And this is one of those, isn't it?
No, I think you're right. It's like I said, probably on the overall, especially the last 20 minutes, we're probably fortunate with a point. But when you're in a position, you don't often come down to Torquay and be 2-0 up at half time. And I thought we'd earned the right to get in that position, and you came in and we thought, right, let's go and just be solid second half, give it a go, compete around the pitch, and I can't see us conceding 2 goals if we do those things, and we haven't done those things, and that's why the result is the way it is at the end of it. So yeah.
Fine. Okay, there's a coach to be got, so we'll leave it there, but thanks very much for your searing honesty, and we'll talk to Douse about next Saturday's game next Friday.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Thank you.